What's going on? Welcome to Asian Cosell. Yep, I got one again from Megan Moon, and in my Korea series that I do. This is about why some South Koreans struggle to leave the nest from their family, and actually, yeah, it's a common thing here in South Korea. So let's get into this and let's go.
That is a combination of kangaroo and 가족, which means family. You put it together, kangaroo족. kangaroo족. I said it with such a foreign accent. Switching between languages. Kangaroo families are families where the adult children are still living with their parents. And in Korea, 64% of all unmarried people are still living with their parents. The 20 to 24-year-olds at a 72%, 64% of 20 to 29-year-olds, 57% of 30 to 34-year-olds, 50% of 35 to 39-year-olds, and 44% 40 to 44-year-olds who are unmarried are still living with their parents. So why is that? I think a lot of it is just being blamed on, well, the cost of living is just so expensive. And that's definitely the case for some people. But there are a lot of people who want to leave home but can't for other cultural reasons. And that's what we're going to get into today. Let it bounce. Hello, friends and family. This is Megan Moon, aka 저는 미국 사람. This is a really interesting topic because in the news, it's also coming out a lot that so many older Korean parents are still taking care of their kids. Like I'm talking 70s, 80s, still giving their kids, monthly allowances and don't have anything saved up for their retirement or anything. It's becoming a bigger and bigger issue. Let's dive into it. So there's been a big cultural shift. A lot of people, they get a good job, they want to leave their parents' house right away. But in a lot of cases, the parents don't want them to leave until they're getting married. The only unfortunate thing about that is I've heard of cases where people just get married so they can leave their parents' house. Some people just ignore their parents and say, whatever, I'm out of here. But for a lot of people, it's really difficult for them to disobey their parents. As I mentioned in the intro, one thing that people say is the cost of living is just so expensive, we can't move out. But out of the people that I know, it's not so much that it's unaffordable to be in an apartment here. It's that people don't want to have small one-room apartments. I know a lot of people who think like this girl whose mom wants her to move out, but she doesn't want to move out.
일단 저는 좁은 집에서 살고 싶지 않아요.
엄마의 사랑 때문에 그런 게 아니라
평수.
I've heard of so many cases of people being like that. I know some people who refuse to leave their parents' house until they have, enough to get like a big $1 million apartment or something. And you could actually live very cheaply and affordably, out of your parents' home. People just don't want to.
Yeah, oh man. Yeah, like some of the friends that I had, I don't kind of have them anymore because I'm just like, it's just too much. Like the South, yeah, like some of in the past, the Korean friends, my God, like homeboy be like, yeah, and he's like, what, 27? This was like 10 years ago. It's like 37 now. He was like 27. He goes, yeah, I'm just living. He goes, I'm like, yeah, and he goes, where do you get your money from? He goes, oh, I get $500,000 a month. I mean, 500,000, which is about 378 US dollars. And I'm like, okay, and and this is back in the days where I was a little ignorant to how the Korean lifestyle was like, because I've been an American all my life. We pretty much get out of the house if we can at 18 or 22 or even after college, but yeah, he was like, yeah, this is just a life. And and of course the parents were like, working professors, so it's like, oh, this dude's well off. So no wonder why you're able to go out and see stuff and do stuff and just do whatever. So yeah, I'm just like, yo, yo, I would be laughed at, if I continued living at home, At some points I had to come home, but yeah, it was just embarrassing. So Yep, but let's continue.
to downgrade their lifestyle at all, or they feel embarrassed that they have to be in a small little tiny place. Well, I'm all for people saving money and living with their parents, like for a little bit to save up to something. But I think just as a general rule, I'm just going to live here and not pay any bills and not do any chores. That's probably not the best. And I was talking to my husband about this topic, and he actually knows someone who's not leaving their parents' house because, again, they don't want to downgrade. So Moon said, you're worried about living in a small apartment, but you're not worried about living in a house that doesn't belong to you. So I was really curious, and I looked into it. There's actually this sort of mentality when people grow up without certain boundaries between parent and kid, they sort of think that their parents' stuff belongs to them. And upon looking into it, I was actually able to find that that's also one of the things that makes it hard for people to become independent from their parents. You know how growing up, typically our parents, you wouldn't just go into their bedroom, right? You have to knock, ask permission. That's their space, right? I was talking to Moon, and he said in Korea they don't really have that. Everything is like sort of used by everyone. Then people sort of become a bit more enmeshed. Like I'm just thinking about myself in college. I went to UCF, Go Knights, Orlando, Florida. I worked at a scuba shop, Castaway Scuba. I lived in this little trap apartment with my roommate Brenda. But I was so excited, like, yeah, I got this place. And when I look at there where I started and how I've developed and where I've come in life, I feel a sense of accomplishment. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We take pride in where we came from. I don't really see that as much in Korea. They just want to have the results so they can show people. Some of the psychologists say that that comes from, grades and competition thing that Koreans like have in school. Are you at the top of your class though? Get better grades. And if they do anything, they have to make sure it's 100% right and 100% to my liking. Because people
And that's the issue here in around the world, but especially in South Korea. Even like when they have to teach English, everything has to be perfect. Some won't even try. And I'm like, yo, just try. You're gonna just speak Korean all your life? Well, yeah, true. And I'm just like, yo, just try. I'm not asking you to freaking have a full blown conversation. So it's like, come on, just put your effort and try. And I'm just like, oh goodness gracious, everything has to be perfect. Like I have to have perfect English. And I'm just like, oh Jesus, no, I don't care. Just spit a few words. You don't need to go full blown. You just need to just do it and just yeah, everything's like perfection here in Korea. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. Just give it a shot. Even if you screw up, even if you miss an ah or something, us Native American speakers, we always screw up a lot of the grammar. So yeah.
people also fear making mistakes. I've talked to people who won't leave their parents' house because they're just afraid maybe things won't go right. And I ask them, what do you mean? What's not going to go right? And then they don't really know. And unfortunately, that fear cripples people from ever even trying new things. I was looking at some videos. There's a lot of videos geared towards Korean parents who are asking how they could get their 30 and 40-year-olds to finally leave the house. And every single piece of content that I've watched is like, when your kids were young, you should have allowed them to experience failure. And I realized that a lot of Korean parents, they want to protect their kids from everything. I don't want them
Yep.
to make any mistakes. So I'm going to make sure
Right.
everything they do is perfect. Some people can become very obsessive, like over what their kids do. Like if when you were little, you've never tried anything on your own and succeeded on your own and failed, but learned from it and then tried it again, then you'll tend to have a bit of lower self-esteem. There's a lot of people I've heard who don't want to move out of their parents' house just because they don't want to have to do chores.
설거지 내놓으면 사라락 다 되어 있고 내놓으면
If there's laundry, it just disappears like magic. If there's dishes in the sink, they just disappear like magic. Why do I want to go out and do chores and laundry if I don't have to? And I know a lot of people, like my 40-year-old friend, who's never cooked a meal or never even done laundry or anything because the moms take care of every single thing for them, even through adulthood. So I sort of looked into it. One thing that I found out is there's a lot of moms who their whole identity sort of becomes motherhood, and it comes for various reasons. One of the biggest reasons is that, especially back in the day, the previous generation, people's life was centered around their role, right? You didn't really have hobbies or friends or anything. Like, you're a mom, be a mom. But as the kids get older and don't need them anymore, they're not able to go and find their own life. So without realizing it, they sort of make it so their kids have to always depend on them for stuff, that they have to always stay an important part of their kids' life. So there's no emphasis on teaching them life skills, teaching them how to get out and move on. So there's cases that I've heard online of like older people, like 70, 80-year-old parents paying off their kids' debts and stuff. Recently, there was this issue where there was this family who didn't really have a lot of money, and they took out loans and they bought their son a like very expensive big apartment in Seoul while they were just living, paying rent. To them, I give everything to my kid, and then my kid's gonna, take care of me later on. We don't need to take care of our retirement or anything like that. But what happened was the son passed away in a car accident, unfortunately. So they told the wife, you need to give us back that apartment because our son is gone now. But the apartment was in the son's name. So obviously the things go to his wife and kids. He also had 2 kids with this woman, but the wife and parents didn't have a good relationship. They didn't really like her. They thought that she was beneath, their precious son. So they weren't even really on speaking terms. So unfortunately, those people, I don't know what they're going to do in their old age. So because of that, there are a lot of people who actually are deciding just to not get married because their parents rely on them so much to take care of them. And the reason why some of those people think that way is because
어떤 경우에는 엄마는 너밖에 없어, 너 때문에 살아, 너무나 큰 부담을 주는 일일 수 있을 것 같아요.
결혼하면서 자기 가족들 때문에 분리되는 순간 부모님이 상처받을 거다. 자기의 즐거움, 자기 개인만의 것 이런 것들은 추구하지 않는 거죠.
And then I've heard cases of parents who didn't want their kids to move out because they are living off of their kids. And if their kids go out and get married, then they probably will spend less time on them. So they just block their kids from getting married and moving out altogether. And another thing that I've heard.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. I'm just like, even, even if I'm immersed into Korean culture or, even in America, some of the stuff I hear, it's like, this is just too much. Jesus. Yeah. So it's kind of nice, I'm kind of independent myself. I do my own laundry, I do my own dishes, which is just me. So mostly I just have one plate and then I keep it washed, it's not that hard to maintain that house as much, So it's like I love the freedom. I love it, I don't have, a lot of people bugging me, and I kind of like it, and I just handle what I need to handle here. So, geez, but yeah, in Korea, it's like, wow. And then, yeah, even when I had Korean friends, they would come to my house, and then I was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing on my bed? When I get out the bed, I have a heated floor. So I go, this isn't where you get to get too fucking comfortable in my pad. No. Like, when I go to someone else's pad, if I do, I'm just like, yo, what do you want me to do? Because I'm not going to just jump on your bed. I'm not going to hug unless, you have my own bed for me, But it's like, no. No, you're not going to do this crap in my pad. This isn't your little place to just kind of like do what you want, use all what you want. It's not going to happen. But yeah, in Korea, it's different, for most Koreans.
Heard is that in those situations where parents, especially the moms, live their life only for the kids, a lot of the times those moms don't have good relationships with the husband, and that's why they focus so much on the kids. So what tends to happen is that they tend to lean on their kids for emotional support, and they'll even like complain about, the husband to their kids.
너희들만 아니었으면 니네 아빠랑 진작에 갈라졌을 거다. 너희들 때문에 내 삶을 희생했으니 너희들은 나에게 잘해야 된다. 죄책감이라는 감정을 자연스럽게 배우게 됩니다. 우리 엄마가 불쌍하기 때문에 내가 엄마한테 잘해야 된다. 잘 못하면 나는 나쁜 사람이다.
Just because the previous generation didn't know, like, that's not something that you should do. Children are not there to give us emotional support. Like, it goes one way. Like, parents are there to love and give emotional support to kids. But if you're kind of asking for it to go the other way, then it causes issues for the kids. And it sort of becomes this weird cycle where if they make any decision for themselves, they sort of feel guilty about it and they think that they need to go back towards the mom. So that sort of natural maturation process, okay, I'm an adult now, I'm separate from my parents, I have my life to live. A lot of people don't fully go through that. And when you couple that with the fact that people sort of in the Korean culture is seen as your parents there on a pedestal, right? So a lot of people think even into adulthood that they're supposed to listen to their parents, but also sadly, even in a situation where the people do decide to leave their parents' house, then the parents still try and interfere in the life a lot. So even if you do manage to become independent, a lot of people are able to become physically independent. They make their own money and they live separately, but emotionally, they're not able to really separate themselves. And a lot of parents still maintain really tight control on their kids, like even managing their money. I was very surprised when I learned that there are some moms out there that will manage their kids' money from like 30, 40 years old. And their sort of excuses, you know, you can't do this without me. I also know somebody whose mom manages the money. I've heard of so many cases of people, they did manage to leave and get married, and maybe they don't call the parents as much as the parents want, and they'll say, how dare you guys just live happily all by yourselves? You're selfish. Yeah. I saw this interesting video that a therapist made saying that some of his clients who come in trying to escape enabling parents, the parents actually use fortune telling against them. In Korea, many people are still very
Yeah.
superstitious and go to fortune tellers and whatnot.
독립해 나가려는 모습을 보이기
That
시작하니까 이제
still exists.
사주팔자나 신점을 보는 그런 분을 포섭을 해서 부모를 떠나면 안 된다라는 뉘앙스의 메시지를 전달해서 네, 이런 케이스들도 여러 본 적이 있습니다.
Apparently, those type of sort of parents who want you to always be reliant on them tend to also do a lot of gaslighting. It's also a word that I'm hearing so many people talk about nowadays in Korea.
요즘 유독 이 단어 많이 들으셨죠?
Yeah.
가스라이팅.
가스라이팅.
And unfortunately, a lot of people have sort of been gaslit to believe that the needs of their parents go above their own, and so they never actually get out and live their own life. I think it's a shame because both parties are miserable in a lot of these situations. My heart goes out to those people because it don't seem that easy. So thank you so much for watching this video. I just thought it was an interesting topic.
God.
Sorry, I just word vomited on
Okay.
you. I thought, why not just sit down and have a more talking style where I just share my thoughts and ideas, etc. So what do you think? Let me know down below. Do you live in Korea? Have you met people who were living with their parents for other reasons? Or what things have you seen and noticed here in Korea? Or even in your own country? So if you like this video and you'd like to see more
Yeah, so oh damn. Yeah, gaslighting. I'm like, yo, you could use, shut up to Kevin Samuels. You could use sign language, shame and so guilt need to be right. And I'm just like, what? What? You're gonna gaslight me to be your homie? No. No. You can go where you need to go. Don't let the sunshine hit you on the side. So don't let it hit you. Don't let it hit you. But yeah, shout out to Megan Moon. And if any of you enjoyed any of this content, please give me the HKO special help the king out. Hit the like, subscribe, and comment. And wherever you are, stay safe. And I'll see you in my next video.